I know I'm late to talk about this, but I'm here today to talk about the Continental. The newest John Wick story serves as a spin-off to the John Wick universe. What's it about? Well, let's get straight to the plot. So, the plot of the show is very much revolves around Winston and also the Continental Hotel, and how he climbs to be later the boss of the Continental Hotel. That is basically the plot of the show. And the show is 3 episodes long. Each of the episodes is like 1 hour and a half because it has a simple premise, but it's not trying to be this kind of a grand scale John Wick installment. It just very much revolves around the Continental, Winston, and a bunch of other characters that supports Winston in his journey of becoming the boss of the Continental Hotel. That is basically just the plot. It is a simple plot. Now, what do you expect from a John Wick spin-off? Well, you expect a lot of action, you expect a lot of intrigue, because in this show, you really learn a lot more about the hotel and how it operates overall. And I think this show functions very well as a device for you to enrich your knowledge about the John Wick universe. Because there are a lot of intrigue in this show, there are a lot of new storylines that you haven't known before from the previous movies. So I think this can also be used as a new pattern for other audiences who haven't known John Wick to finally get introduced in this world. Now, because this is an action show, let's talk about the action. The first episode hooks you in immediately with the first action sequence, and if you are a John Wick fan, you are hooked into the show just by the first action sequence that happened in the Continental Hotel. The first episode is basically introducing new characters, introducing Winston, introducing the basic plot that revolves around Winston and his brother. Now, the second episode really slows down in terms of pacing because the second episode introduces you to new intrigues, new characters, new gangs. Now, the third episode is basically the most action-packed episode in the whole show because the third episode is basically, Winston and his team ambushing the Continental Hotel to take over the leadership from the villain. Now, the villain here is played by Mel Gibson. In the first episode, he looks to be this kind of a normal manager because in the first episode, you don't really get to know him. But in the second episode, when he shows up more, he turns into a maniac. And I say that, he turns into a maniac in a goofy way because that really comes down to his acting. Now, Mel Gibson in this role is really acting goofy, because he is a maniac, but he plays it kind of a goofy way. He's not really playing it seriously, but I think that complements his role because Mel Gibson's role in this show is bringing a new kind of a fresh element to the John Wick villains. Because if you know the villains from the previous movies, from the previous installments, there weren't no goofiness, But the villain here is very different because Mel Gibson plays it very goofy, and it really brings you the kind of a freshness that you want from a villain character from a John Wick universe. Now, let's talk about Winston, the center character in the show. I think the actor who portrays Winston really know how to play Winston very well. You eventually see this character, how he came up to be the later version of the character, because his mannerisms, his attitude, it's all the same, He is really the same character, but younger, and might be not as wise as his older version. But I think his attitude is still the same, the way he talks, the way he walks, everything. This actor really mimics Ian McShane's version of the character, but I think that is a really, really well done performance. Let's talk about the other characters. As I said before, the second episode deals deep into the characters, deals deep into their motivations, deals deep into their backstories. Now, let's talk about the action. As I said before, the most action-packed episode is in the third episode, aka the final episode. This is just a pure bloodbath set in the Continental Hotel, and that's it. It is a really simple episode, but the motivations of the characters set up in the second episode really wraps up very well, very fulfillingly, very satisfyingly in the third episode, and I think that is a really cool way. So in the end, this show is paced very well, acted very well, and the action itself is really brilliant. Now, the only negative aspect that I really disagree with the show is the music. I know the licensed musics maybe are needed in this type of show, but at some points the licensed music really distracts you from the experience. Maybe for example, there's a scene with the characters walking, but the music that is playing in the background is very loud and it really distracts you from the experience. But other than that, I don't have a lot of negative things to say regarding this show. I think this is a well-made show, a well-acted show. The action is really fulfilling and really bloody, and this really serves as a needed prequel to really understand Winston as a character, and also really deals deep into the criminal underworld of the Continental Hotel. So I think as a show, this is a very, very well done show, and I want to give John Wick, the Continental spin-off, an 8 out of 10. This is a really well done show, and if you like John Wick, this is a must watch for you. And if there's a new viewer trying to get into the John Wick world, this also functions very well as a welcoming gate to the criminal underworld of the John Wick universe. So 8 out of 10. And if you have seen the Continental, tell me what you think, what you like, what you hate about the show. Tell me everything down in the comments, and see you on the next video.